So here I have a Pentium III 1 GHz and a ABit VP6 motherboard. So that means I actually have two Pentium III 1 GHz. The second one there, you don't very often see this anymore, except in high-end workstations, and even then they tend to be more like Threadrippers and stuff. But back in the day, like back in 99, 2000, we did do this sort of thing if they had a wedge of cache. I didn't back then. I think in 2000 I had a AMD K62 450. Then later on I think I got a Pentium III 800, but only because it was going super cheap, because apparently it fell out of someone's office and I was like, give it to me. Yeah, so it all seems to be running mostly okay. I say mostly. I keep getting errors come up during the XP install, which I didn't have in VirtualBox, but I did test the ISO first in VirtualBox, and that took a very long time to install, something around 4 or 5 hours. Anyway, back to this board. It has two USB 1.1s, PS2 connectors, which I'm using because, well, these adapters are absolutely rubbish for USB keyboards, even though they're supposed to work with it. They're just trash. Don't even bother. Just buy yourself a PS2 keyboard and mouse and get it done with. Of course, I repasted the coolers, but I also had to take the top one apart, the fan, clean it up, flip the bearing over and put it back, because that one was not working very well at all. It kept stopping and vibrating. So it's working for now. I'm sure I'll have to change it at some point, but it won't be just yet. Now I got very lucky with this board. In this time period there was a lot of faulty capacitors, so I thoroughly inspected this board for all the capacitors before I ever powered it on, and I think I've got away with it. I say that, but I actually keep getting errors here which I wasn't getting on the VirtualBox. I was installed on that. So that might be a RAM problem. And if it is a RAM problem, we'll have to get some new RAM, won't I? So I've got back here, you see, four sticks for a total of 1 gigabyte. Huge, another error. And I've got a Radeon, ATI Radeon, an ATI Radeon back here, AGP, I think so, it's Radeon 7064 meg. And I've got a SATA controller, which has got a drive connected to it on the SSD, but I'm not installing to that. I'm actually installing to an SD card. Windows did detect it, because this particular version of Windows ISO does have a lot of drivers, and it did detect it straight away. And I've got a Creative Sound Blaster Sonic, I believe, down here. I've got a TP-Link network card, although I've got nothing connected to it at the moment. It's not connected to the network. And I've got some cheap USB 2 card. This case I got from Amazon just the other day, because I was testing this on a bit of cardboard, as you do, and it did come with, I think it's about 45 or 47 pounds, something like that. It did come with a PSU, but not this one. It came with this one, which if you see on here, 5 volt 15 amp. That is not enough. That is not suitable for a Pentium III dual CPU, because they're very 5 volt heavy. So I actually bought a separate 5 volt 30 amp PSU, again an old one, but it's working. I tested it, it's working. I had to buy an adapter for the modem to SATA power for my SSD, which is here, but like I say, I'm not using that for installing. I'm not going to use that for storage only. I did have my floppy disk ready for my SATA drivers. Didn't need them, because this particular version of Windows ISO did have the drivers. That's my SD to IGE adapter, you can see in there. At some point I will use my printer sitting here, which I've put on the top there. I will use this printer to create a front panel for this. It won't be today, I've got other stuff to do. My DVD drive has seen better days. The top front bit is sitting there. I have to use this hex key to shove in the release port when I'm pressing eject, because it is a bit knackered, the release belt. The belt that does the initial part of the eject mechanism is very, very loose. If you try to eject, it doesn't come out, it just sits there, makes a noise. If you try to just eject it using this, it just slips and doesn't do anything, doesn't come out. You have to press eject while also keeping the X key in there, gently pressed in there. As soon as you press eject and you feel it move, poof, give it a shove home, and the disc comes out, no problem after that. But I will have to deal with that another day. I could probably either just change the belt or maybe just change the drive, but that's another day problem. Just as the front panel connectors, none of these work. The USBs, they don't work, and the sound doesn't work because the sound uses a different connector from what my sound card takes, and again the USB takes a different connector from what my motherboard uses. The power and the reset and the LEDs for the hard drive does work though. Let's press OK on that again. This has been getting a bit iffy. I don't know, like I said, I don't know if it's a RAM issue or if it's something else. I'll have to find out because it wasn't doing this in VirtualBox, but I have been able to get it to the desktop. But then when I try and install this stuff, it gets its errors and then it freezes this whole system up. Now when I was first testing this, I didn't even have any cables. Thankfully a guy who gave me this and these cables when I was buying some parts, because he knew I didn't have anything. It was very nice of him, so I was using these at first until I got some new round cables. This does have two IDE connectors down there and two here, but these ones are RAID ones, and I'm not going to use hardware RAID. To be fair, I won't ever use hardware RAID because if it fails, you need the hardware to get your stuff back. So this drive, he did tell me probably won't work very well. Has got some bad sectors, but give it a test and see how I go. It might get me started. It worked okay to get Windows 98 DOS on it, but when I tried to install Windows 2000, it just died. Don't know if it's going to work at all ever again because it got about 3/4 of the way and died badly, and then I couldn't get anything to work on it. So I'll have to come back to this one. I also have on here Windows 2000 on this one, and that works quite nicely, even if XP is dying occasionally. So hopefully in time I'll get the case back on it. Currently sitting over there when it's not making the noise and doesn't need to be off. Behind here the make one electron. This is not my original one. Not my original one that I had back when the clock rolled over to 1990. But I have a bit of nostalgia, so I bought another one. Shortly after that call I had a Spectrum Plus 2. But the ZX Spectrums, quite frankly, they were trash then and they're still trash now. Unless you've got a toast rack at 128, and then I might be interested, but even then people want silly money for the toast rack. This is just sitting in here in my shed at the moment, doing its thing next to all of my other stuff. This is the best place to put it at the moment until I can get it quietened down and fully installed. And again, another error. I'm loving this. I'm really having fun today. Yeah, the absolutely needed bottle of squirty wash up liquid, because I keep getting attacked by mosquitoes. That's why the door is shut, and I keep walking around my lawnmower as well. Yeah, hopefully in time it will go where it belongs, in my bedroom.